What is going on, guys, and welcome back yet again. You know what time of the week it is. It's Monday, and it's Talkin with Andrew and Chris time. And today we are joined yet again. Another two-peat, as we like to call it. You know, Andrew and I have been, well, we're a little worried, let's be honest, about everything that's going on out there. They say things are getting better, and it is scary times, Andrew, and I hope that they are. But just to be sure, we've been doing sort of like quarantine check-ins with some of our past guests just to make sure everything's okay out there. And it seems like everything's going well for this guest in specific. So, Howie, welcome back to the show, man. How you been? We appreciate you being here, dude.
Hey, man. Glad to be back. Thanks for having me, man. I'm doing well.
Cool. Good to hear. What's it like down there in Maryland? I mean, you're not too far from New York, so I'm sure it's a similar picture.
Maryland is actually doing really well. I like that we're not national news like New York and California, and Italy. But I mean, I think most people are complying. Most people aren't going out and getting in big groups and hanging out. You have your few, but it's as far as my family is concerned, we're just chilling. We're trying to find stuff to do, and the kids are doing homeschooling, and we go to the grocery store. It's just one of us, me or Danielle. So it's usually me. I kind of have a system. When I get back, I try not to touch anything that I don't need to touch, and don't touch my face, things like that. Well, now we've got we have to wear masks wherever we go, which is strange, but I think everybody's used to it by now. Except my mask. I was walking into the liquor store today. Danielle's like, "You got to get me some Bloody Mary stuff." So hit the liquor store after the post office, because I've been mailing out packages and stuff for fans that are like buying Ballyhoo merch and my merch. So every couple of days I go to the post office, and on the way back I hit the liquor store, and I'm putting my mask back on to go into the liquor store, and one of my straps broke. One of the bands broke on the mask. So I'm like kind of holding it up,
Yikes.
Trying to pay for everything. Yeah, so there's that. But like I said, I'm busy as hell. Like I have a lot of artists coming at me with projects and stuff, and I'm doing the podcasts and making videos and just trying to be creative, write songs, record, whatever. So
yeah, it's definitely not a great time to be a performer right now, but it seems like it could be a pretty huge time to be a producer right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And for being a performer, I mean, we just have to adapt. That's all. We have to, everything is moved online, and it's, this was something that many of us weren't prepared for. And I'm just speaking for artists, like the creatives out there, music, and maybe even graphic artists. I don't know. But as far as like singing and stuff and, doing shows, I would say, okay, so people that perform out and go on tour and things like that. We weren't prepared for this. And there are certain people that were prepared. Like I was already doing this. I've been going live, for a while, and I had my YouTube channel going back in January of 2019. Brandon from Bumpin' Uglies, he's been like hammering his Facebook Live for a couple of years now. So he already, like, he has a built-in fan base there that goes to him every time he performs. Same with me when I go on YouTube. And YouTube is very hard to build because it's like one of the top search engines in the world, yet there's a lot of people that still don't use that on the reg, where Facebook is more, the engagement rate is higher probably because you can share right there. Like everybody you know is on Facebook. But then if you perform on Facebook, some people aren't on Facebook. So that's why I do it on YouTube, because anybody can go watch it. You don't have to be a member of Google or something to watch YouTube.
Right.
But now you see people sort of scrambling to kind of figure out how they can produce some sort of experience for their fans to keep it going. Because, these bands aren't making money because they're not on tour. That's where the money is. And that's how we pay our bills. And we're lucky enough to have a pretty extensive catalog of songs that produce some actual real money, If you're getting 1,000 streams a month, that's really not going to do anything for you. But our band can stream anywhere from 1 to 2 million a month on a great month, and so that brings in actual decent money. Nobody's rich or anything. It's just like we can pay bills and things with it, and we're able to pay salary and stuff. Yeah. So, you see these artists that are just sort of figuring it out, and like kind of the production value is not great, but I tell people it doesn't have to be great. That's something you build on eventually. It's taken me a while to get where I am now, like with this setup. I don't even like, showing off my back here. Like I like having the camera back, where I don't know if your audience can see this, but you guys can see, like I have this whole setup right here, kind of to where this flag stops, and then the Kurt Cobain poster. But behind there is like my slider and like the, just random boxes and shit back there.
Behind the curtain kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I really tried my best. I got to get an extension cable. I tried my best to hide my bed behind me, but with the softbox. But you know what? We're doing it live, man. Like you said, we have to adjust to the times that we were handed. So
I've got my camera propped up on my bed, so I'm pretty lucky, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But that's one of the main reasons, like aside from just, and I'm glad to see that you and your family are doing okay in all this craziness, but I mean, one of the main reasons why I really wanted to have you back on the show in specific is because, as we told you in the past, like a lot of our audience is me and Andrew's peers, musicians who are trying to get to like where you guys are, and who are hungry and who want to learn, and these times especially took everything that we've all been building on for years, and some of us just finally starting to get a hang of and just flipped it sideways. But you seem to be like an early adopter to pretty much like everything, and especially taking these live streams to like a whole nother level. So you kind of touched upon it with your opening sort of let's call it like an opening crawl there, for lack of a better phrase. But like could you sort of elaborate on how like the Ballyhoo plan, the Tales from the Green Room plan, and even your personal channel is sort of adjusting to still be productive in these times?
Well, it's very important to always try to be looking ahead and reading the market, and reading like your fans, seeing what they want from you, because you really can do some solid R&D, just by watching the comments. Like I go back and I look at the comments for all my streams, because I want to see what these people are talking about. I want to see like what it is they want from me and what they want from the band, what they would love to see from other bands. I see it all the time. I go on Facebook and I look and I see, did you see so-and-so stream the other night? Like it was really lame, like stuff like that. Well, what was lame about it? Like go deeper and learn. Don't just do your stream and just call it a night. Like go back, even the next morning, and just watch the stream and just kind of skim through and look at the chat, and then check your DMs, and like look at your audience is constantly talking to you, and letting you know what they want. And when it came to like the podcast and like the YouTube channel and stuff, here we are, this is happening. Physical is gone. Like it's all digital, it's online, right? This is the current state of things. And this isn't going away. This is only going to get bigger. Even when things get better, with the quarantine stuff, when we're allowed to go back outside again, we're still going to go to shows and stuff, but live streaming and live video podcasts, I was watching for the last year, I was watching video podcasts start to take off. You've got H3, you've got, Joe Rogan, obviously. Chris D'Elia even is doing his video podcast, just him, just talking to the camera and goofing off with his laptop. Like,
yeah, I saw that, yeah.
I've been watching these things take off, and I was like, okay, video podcast is next for me. I gotta make the move. And I was researching services to make this happen. How can I do this? Because when you take a video and you record a video, and then you record your audio separately, and then you want to put those together in your video editor, and then you export that, the file can get really big, especially if you're going for an hour. And my stuff goes an hour or two lately. And so I was looking for a service to where I could do like even a private live stream where no one could watch, and I could, just kind of, just no pressure, just kind of do my thing. And what's great about YouTube Live is that you can set up a private stream, and once you're done with whatever you're doing, it saves automatically as a video. right? So there's no upload. The downside to that is you can't post process. You can't go in and like cut things out or fix something, or you have to kind of just let it flow and sort of, it's live, so there's gonna be ums and uhs and some long pauses and sort of weird moments. That's where you gotta, where, as opposed to like where I just, on my audio podcast, I just sit in front of in Pro Tools or whatever and just talk, and if I mess up, I can go change it or whatever. So that's what I was looking for. Anytime you try to upload a video 10 minutes or more, it's going to be a really big file, and it's going to take forever. And I don't want, 20, 30 gigabyte video files sitting on hard drives. I'd rather just put them up there. So I found StreamYard from some friends that suggested it, and I really like it. It's the same idea. Like right now, we're recording in StreamYard. We're not live, though. We're just recording a private session. So you can have just like a Zoom thing. You can have a private conversation, and whoever has the link can join. And so that you can download the video afterwards. You can download the audio separately, which is great. And they're working on more features. You have to really do some research and do some testing. I had some issues last night with StreamYard where my audio was cutting in and out, and I'm playing songs. It's very noticeable. And I'm just trying to work it out to where I can find the best, because I'll pay for a platform. If I can get great features and a good quality stream out of it, I will pay for it, But I've been testing the waters and seeing what's going on. So far, StreamYard is great, except for that the audio thing's really irking me. And I had to shut down my stream and start a whole new stream last night. I lost viewers. It got really, really ugly. So I'm going to go back to Streamlabs OBS for that for now. Streamlabs OBS is, sorry, I feel like this is very long-winded.
No, it's all good stuff.
Fine, yeah.
Streamlabs OBS is a separate app that takes more work to set up, but you have a lot more control. Whereas StreamYard has some really cool features. You can throw overlays on there. You can throw like little banners, little tickers, little things like that. But it's very minimal and limited. With OBS, you can get very crazy and throw all kinds of stuff up there, and there's all kinds of features and stuff. But you got to kind of know there's a learning curve to it. StreamYard is very, everything's streamed, this and that. StreamYard is very simple. It literally took me 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I'm just clicking things like, oh, that's cool. Okay, I'll use that later. You start using your imagination. Zoom is great. They've had privacy issues. So far, nobody that I know has had any issues like Zoom bombing or anything like that. I guess there's also people selling data from like on the black market now, the dark web.
Oh, great. Just what we needed.
Yeah, exactly. So
hey, great way to make money from home, right?
Yeah. So I've been holding off on the Zoom, just kind of waiting, but just change your passwords, people, and use some really great passwords, not like your favorite color and your favorite number. Really, there's plenty of like password generators out there that come up with some crazy stuff. And now there's like your password saves to your phone in like the keychain and iCloud, or like use an app like Dashlane or 1Password or something like that. We gotta get more secure. But yeah, there's a lot of options. I'm just trying different ones and seeing what works. And as I figure out what works, I'm letting people know. Because I want people to prosper, man. I'm like, there's no like I'm keeping this for myself kind of thing. I don't have that attitude. I want people to succeed and do great things, because a rising tide, it helps everybody.
There's room for everyone at the top.
Yeah, if you're creative and you're doing something awesome, people are going to pay attention, and you will stick out.
Now that's all real good advice with like how to reach everybody. But what I would like to know, I've seen a lot of artists like been postponing their albums. Like they were like, oh, my album's supposed to come out in a week, but obviously with all this, I don't want to put out an album and then not tour on it. And I've seen a lot of them, some of them are just postponing the album, but a lot of them have been like, instead of putting out an album, putting out singles. Do you think that that's a good way to do it? Or you think it's smarter to just kind of wait it out and try to find new content to put out and just wait and then release the album and try to tour on it when you can tour again?
I understand the idea of wanting to tour on a record, but I don't know. I don't think it's Is it worth waiting and putting it off? I'm not sure, because to me, I think the fans want as much content as possible. I'm not against putting out singles either. I mean, we're doing that as well at the moment. We don't have a full release yet. Now these bands they have an album kind of sitting there, they're ready to go, with maybe they have video content and all that. Every band has their own situation, and not one way is good for everybody. But I think that we're living in a time where we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when this is going to let up, when we're going to get back to normal shows. I mean, I try to weed through the bullshit and see like try not to believe things, and I like to do my own research. And there's some articles flying around about how live shows aren't going to return until like end of next year, 2021.
I've been seeing
right,
that.
yeah, I've been seeing stuff like that too.
Yeah, I've even read like some of the bigger arenas like MSG, like 2022, early 2022, which is just absurd to me. But I mean, it makes sense given how this thing's spreading,
I mean, stadium shows and arena shows, man, you're talking 10 to 60,000 people in one place, and there's no vaccine. There's no vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's like, I guess most people aren't dying from this, right? But there's still people that are dying. There's a life is a life,
For sure.
You go, only 10,000 people. I don't know what the number is. That's still 10,000 people that are dead, and they're not coming back, because of this thing. And it's not just old people. Like, there's young people dying. There's guys in their 40s. There's a guy that's 30 years old. That was on the news 2 weeks ago. His wife is on CNN. He got it, and 4 days later, he was dead. He was healthy,
Yeah, it can happen to anybody. It's honestly insane right now.
And the idea of going to a concert, it's just like, I don't want to get that shit. I don't want my kids to get it.
Yeah.
If we are back to doing shows, we're not going to the merch table. We're not doing that normal stuff like we want to, but you got to be safe. I don't know. I don't see those those large scale shows doing anything for a long time. If we get back to shows like normal, our size shows like theaters, small clubs, I've heard something about like a 250 cap rule. Like maybe they're going to, even if it's a 500 cap room, only 250 people going at a time. I don't know how that's going to be. This obviously doesn't help businesses, like bars and restaurants and things. I just don't know. And I think to sit there and wait is a mistake. You can't wait for the world to change, man. You can't wait for things. You have to just go get it. And I think that your fans appreciate it. If we put out a full record right now, our fans would be stoked,
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. I think that you need to, like, these bands that have a record sitting there and they're waiting to go on tour, I think serve your fans. I think you should get on there and find some way to perform those shows like we do. In some places, I think California is still in complete lockdown. They can't go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah, I think so.
So, you may not have the means to do it. Think of something, do quarantine videos like Goldfinger. On Ballyhoo, we just did some as well. Our first one goes live tomorrow. Like, get creative. I mean, some of these bands, I think, maybe are either lazy or they're confused. They don't know what to do. Maybe they don't want to put in the work, because it takes work. It takes work for me to get all my guys to film themselves, to get dressed. It's hard to get dressed right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, to get motivated to do anything.
Hey man, I mean, I'm getting to know my sweatpants better than I ever have throughout the entirety of this thing. So
Amen.
I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Everybody's hair looks like shit right now.
I need a haircut so bad.
So bad, bro.
Terrible. You guys are lucky. You have natural locks that work for you. I already don't. So me being out of my haircut realm, I mean, I'm finding hats I didn't even know I owned. Let's just put it that way. But no, you're totally right, dude. And I think the big thing I'm getting from all that is, you're talking about early adopting, but I think what's even more important, because you hear a lot of people saying early adopting, you're actually doing it, but I think what you're doing is even on your downtime, it seems like you're watching video podcasts. And yeah, that's entertainment, but I'm sure in the back of your head, you're like, oh, look at that shot, look at that lighting. How can I do this? I think that's the bigger lesson to get from all this. And so how do you sort of teach yourself to never be off the clock, even when you're on the clock, you know?
Yeah, because especially now
or
it's like
flip those around, but you know what I mean.
It's that fine line. It's that fine line of like, I better get some work done because I'll never have this much free time again. But also like, I kind of want to relax and chill because when will I ever have this much free time again?
Yeah, for me, I have to train myself to get off the clock. Like, you know what I mean? I don't.
Like someone else I know.
I'm never off. I'm never like, and it cuts into family time, and we have conversations about that. Heated conversations about that. But you know, I do the best I can to be there for the family and make sure I'm you know, I make breakfast, lunch, and dinner and get that hang time. You know, thankfully she's handling a lot of the homeschooling. Like I'll do math with him and stuff because that shit's crazy. Fractions,
Agreed.
man, fractions, bro. It's like
Fuck fractions, dude.
fuck fractions.
Dude, I'm going back to business school this coming fall, and I could not be any more scared to go back into a math class. Let me tell you that much. I mean, fractions are the least of my worries
especially
right now, and
now,
that even sounds daunting.
you're going to be getting into economics, which is just like
oh,
jerk
God.
math.
Tell me about it, yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
man.
with you on that, dude.
No, thank you. Yeah, you know, so for me, it's all about I get in a bad mood when I'm not working on something, especially when I know I've got projects waiting. Like if I get behind. My son's birthday was yesterday. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about work, you know, because I have a lot of things going on right now. But yeah, a day like yesterday, I gotta shut it off, and I gotta do what's right, you know. The other days, you know, it's if something takes me away, I get in a bad mood. And I'm like, I really have so much to do, or I need to be doing this. You know, I think it's just a matter of like, you know, when you say like, oh, you know, it's quarantine, I can be getting a lot of stuff done now, or I could be chilling. You know, I need to take advantage of this time. You know, I take advantage of the time by getting more work done. I don't do a whole lot of Netflix and chill. I don't watch a lot of shows. Now there are shows that I get hooked on, things like that, movies I want to watch. I incorporated video games back into my life by turning it into a business, like Twitch and YouTube, like gaming, like so I could play video games again. Like because I you know, for me, I love video games. I've loved them since I was a kid, and it's a way for me to kind of turn my brain off and stop being stressed out about this work, the music stuff, or the creative stuff. And so now I can play video games on YouTube and Twitch and be like, well, babe, it's like, you know, there's a chance that you make a little bit of money off of it. You know, there's some revenue there.
No,
That's
I
cool.
promise,
Yeah, I hear
babe,
ya.
I'm still working.
Yeah. And well, yeah, you're not making any money. Well, I know, because I got to build it. It's another thing I got to build, you know, it's another channel. But you know, so I use that, but I don't even that. I play for like an hour or two, you know, at the most. And it's really not as much. This takes up everything, the writing the music and producing and mixing and things like that, doing podcasts.
Yeah, totally. So it's been a year since our last conversation, and
Has it?
since then,
Wow, yeah, it's crazy.
just about, yeah, right? Like April, yeah, I think so. Almost exactly a year, and so since you know, then you had just started the podcast on top of everything you do with Ballyhoo, and now you have your YouTube channel, you're doing Twitch, and so like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, it seems like you love the rush of building new things, like you kind of just said, right? Like it almost seems like that's like the fun in it for you. I mean, obviously then maintaining it has its own rewards, but it seems like you're just adopting, like I was saying at the top of this podcast, like every new avenue you can and taking advantage of, especially in these quarantine times. Is there something about that rush though that is like specifically like gets you going?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It's there, you know, the fun is the process. The fun is the journey. You know, the fun is getting things going, and then when they get to a point where it's just another thing. It's like a second nature. Things are just moving, flowing. All the parts are moving together in unison and well oiled. That feeling is great. That's how I feel about my streams now, except for last night because I tried something new. When you try something new, you got to be prepared, or at least mentally prepared for things to go wrong. And when things go wrong, you adjust, and move forward. But now with my live streams, everything's set up. Like I'd come on, I flip my camera on over here. I go over to StreamYard or Streamlabs OBS, and I just do it. It's like easy now, the podcast, very simple, and especially now with the videos, like people just come on and, being that I do a lot of them live lately with these artists because I want people to get involved and ask them cool questions and stuff. Like people understand that it's live. So the pressure sort of goes away for it to be 100% pro, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to seem so professional and polished, like there's rawness to it, and that's what I like,
Totally.
I love when it comes to putting out the songs and the music and recording and stuff. Everything to me has to sound perfect to me. Like it has to sound the best it can get. So I'll spend days working on a vocal or a guitar line or something, or make sure the mix is just right. I'll listen to a song 1,000 times just to make sure everything's right. But with a live stream or a live podcast, something like that, it's live. It's live TV. Your things are going to happen, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And when it comes to building something new, like when I started the podcast or when I started the YouTube channel, hell yeah, it's exciting, man. It's exciting. I even when I did my EP, my solo EP, I'd wanted to do that forever. I finally did it. It was exciting. When I hit upload, man, and it was there, I was like, whoa, this is so cool, dude. Like, people are listening to my shit, separate from the Ballyhoo. This is my thing, and it was it's great. I love making things, and I love giving them to the world. And when I see people get value from that, get something positive out of it, it's just, man, it's like, I don't know what people are gonna think, but when they come back and like, this is amazing, thank you, this helps so much, that is just like the extra,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the dream right there.
That is 100% the dream, and it's sort of the modern dream, adopting and balancing this like content creator brain and then the music brain, which you've had going for so many more years than the content creator brain. But is there sometimes is it hard to sort of like, how do you switch from like making the YouTube and the lighting and the audio for your podcasts and all the different sort of things you put out on your YouTube channel look good, and then when you go to write a song, like are you drained, or do you allot a certain amount of energy for each? Because now you got two outlets where you create original music for, and that's something. These are, I guess I'm selfishly asking, this is where I want to be in some time. I'm still at the baby steps, but I know a lot of my friends who listen to this are also just as aspirational, if not more. So we're all just curious, like, how do you balance all this, man? As a one-man team, especially,
It's again, it's for the love of it. It's because it's fun to me. And, I get just like anything else, I get burnt out. I get tired. I'm like, all right, I'm tired of fucking with this song, or this isn't coming out the way I want, or this video sucks, or whatever. I'll move on to the next thing. Like you got to know when to like just say, okay, all right, I submit, I'm done for now. Like I'll come back to this later. And usually I'll jump back into something because I really want to see it through, there are moments where I just say, okay, this is never, ever going to work, so I'll throw it aside and I just move on to the next thing. If I feel like a song's not working out, I'll go work on I'll make a video for something, or I'll go live, or do the podcast or something. Like, if I'm in the middle of a mix, like mixing for another band, and shit's just like not coming together, or like I feel like, my ears are tired, I'll say, all right, I'm done with this, and I'll come back to it. Like sometimes it gets every time it gets very tedious when you got to go in there and tune vocals and things and break things up and, listen back, and I'll go, I'll start going, oh, well, actually, this doesn't sound that bad. I'll let this go. As soon as I start thinking like that, I'm like, okay, it's time to shut it down. I gotta
Yeah.
take a break. I'll come back because I'll come back tomorrow and I'll jump back into it, have that enthusiasm again. It's like, don't let something go that's half-assed or it's this'll do. Don't let that go. Just put it down. If you have time, especially if you have time, there's no definitive time or like, I got a week left to make this happen or whatever. Come back to it tomorrow, and there's always something else that I could be doing. You can't like, I love doing what I do and being self-employed and all that, creating my own thing. It's amazing. But it does get crazy and you just got to put it aside, go take a break, step away. They say to like take a break, especially if you're like mixing records, like take a break, take 20 minutes and just go chill and come back to it,
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that the hairs in your ear eventually start to fall down, and so you can't filter the different frequencies as strongly as you could if not. Just a little bit of science there for all the listeners out there. Yeah, it's something to look
crazy.
up. Yeah. I remember I used to go to the studio, and the engineer I would always get frustrated. This is like years ago, before I even like knew any of the stuff, and he was the one who told me that. He's like, dude, like, trust me, I know you're not hearing it, but like, I need a break. It's getting muddy. And I was like, oh man, I'm in the moment though. I want to keep going on this song, but he needed his breaks, and it always made for a good product. But that's just so that makes sense that you're sort of naturally just doing that. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
I know. I didn't know about the hair in the ears thing. That's pretty cool. It's interesting. No, it's just like you have to figure out your limits, and when you do it enough, there's one thing there. There's something to be said for pushing through, right? Like sometimes you do need to push through. Sometimes you're like, I'm right there, and you need a producer or something to say, you got this, man. Like, come on, give me like 3 more and just hit this part here or whatever. I get that, but then there's moments where it's just like, this is not happening right now, and I'm just gonna get mad and frustrated by forcing it. You can't force everything,
Yeah.
I tell people hit me up all the time, how long did it take you to learn to play guitar and all that? I'm like, bro, it took me like a year before I felt good about playing in front of someone. Like, I'd never played a show before at that point, but like, before I'd be in my basement or, my room, just like working on it. And, but I did it every day, so you push through some things especially if you're trying to learn something. But if that vocal isn't working out and your voice isn't great that day, you got to remember that this is forever. If you've got the time to do this tomorrow or even next week, come back next week when your voice is better. Back in the day when we were, recording on no budget, just kind of the band guys putting their money together or whatever possible, and recording on a random Tuesday at 2:30. Hey, we got 2 hours. Let's get in and do this. Before we could do this on our own. This is back in the 2000s. And it was way more expensive to record back then. We did the 40 Ounce of Freedom cover, the Sublime song. And then we did another cover, Let's Go Get Stoned. We did 2 Sublime songs. One got released. And I had like a sinus infection that day. And I go in to sing, but I'm like, well, this is the only time I have to do it. Like, I got to do it now. I got to do it bad. So like, I listen back. I'm like, God, why? And people don't really notice it. Maybe I don't know. Nobody's ever said anything about it. I notice it. I'm like, I would never let that go today. I'd be like, bro, come back next week. It's just, you got to remember that this stuff's forever. I recorded that song in 2005. It's 15 years later. You know what I mean? And that song got on Pandora and it really made the band pop. Like, we didn't even have our own music up there yet in like 2006. And that started making us popular because of that Sublime song. I'm like, that's the song where like my voice is dog shit and like,
Yeah,
So-
yeah. What a false representation, I suppose you were thinking. Although, to be honest, I didn't notice it. But that's always the thing. Like, being a singer, you know when it's not right. Even if to the outside ear, it sounds just business as usual. But
yeah.
yeah, no, that's dude. I mean, so like, did you ever think that the issue with touring would be that you'd be locked in and quarantined when you guys were back in 2000, just trying to get out there and like do the thing professionally?
I bet it was just one of the things on his list, man. Like, hey guys, let's get ready for an international pandemic.
Well, I mean, just because he's had like that sort of like, to go
Yeah.
and then become like the
Yeah,
the
I mean, hey,
touring
that's fair.
lifestyle.
If anyone we've ever talked to would have already been ready for an international pandemic scenario, it would have been Howie. So I guess that's fair to ask him.
Yeah, exactly. You're like the guest superhero to the show, and I guess it's fitting because your studio is called the Batcave, But
Yeah.
as far as like content creating and just being prolific, that's kind of like the brand you've taken in at least the talking, podcast cinematic universe, if you will.
That's amazing.
It is expanding.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm seeing shows and stuff pop up all the time now with other artists and such. I don't know. I just think that I was able to jump on early. Early adopters usually they tend to be successful, because you're one of a few, and so people, those eyes are on you, and you can set an example. I wasn't the first podcaster. I came along pretty late, honestly. YouTube, I came along very late because everybody that started doing it in 05, 06, 07, 08, they're the ones that are actually making millions of dollars now, and because they jumped on early. Those kids that are on TikTok now that just make silly videos, dance moves, and things like that, they jumped on early and they've got millions of followers and they got brand deals and stuff. It's because they jumped on early. They figured it out. That's why like if you listen to guys like Gary Vee or something, if you're not, you should. He's very motivational. He'll tell you like you gotta pay attention and try everything, like try all the new apps that come out, like really, read your audience and see, that's where I learned a lot of this stuff. And some of the stuff like I was already kind of putting into practice, but I didn't realize, I thought it was just my method. I didn't realize that it was a real method. Like it works for, everyone. I just always loved getting back to fans in the messages and like staying in contact and doing the merch table after the set and creating an organic experience for people. And as far as like the, again, having the channel, the YouTube and the podcast and stuff and the live streams. I just, it's like looking back, everybody should have been doing this already, because now everything is online, right? And back to what I was saying earlier is that you have some artists that are sort of scrambling to figure it out when had they been doing this for a couple years, it would have just been another thing like, oh yeah, I'm fine. You already, when you set yourself up, just like how, the United States should have already had infrastructure for something like this. Schools should have already had a backup plan for doing distance learning, right? Like on the TV, like most people have a laptop with an HDMI connection that, I don't know about most people, but if you have a laptop, it probably has some sort of video connection that you can put in your TV and put your kids in front of it. And your teacher can can Zoom a class. Those things are already in place, but it's just no one figured it out. No one was like, oh, well, okay, so if something ever goes down to where we need to be out of school for an indefinite amount of time, we can switch it on. They had to go through this lengthy process of, it went pretty quickly considering for the government, but putting that $1 trillion or $2 trillion thing in place, and then like $480 billion for something else, like small businesses, things like that. The unemployment stuff for self-employed and gig workers, that goes live tomorrow. That, as far as the you can apply for that tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's
the 24th.
Good information to get out there. Hell yeah.
Yeah, at least in Maryland you can.
Okay.
Everybody should look this up, but I imagine it's around the same around the country. But anyway, this is stuff that like before tomorrow, someone like me or someone like you guys who are doing music or whatever, gig workers, you couldn't apply for unemployment. You weren't eligible, but now as of tomorrow you will be. As for just in Maryland, I'll say. That should have already been in place. Like we should already had a safety fund ready to go that switches on UBI, universal basic income, basically, that switches on when something like this happens. And it's money saved for a rainy day. You know what I mean? And like, so these businesses don't have to struggle. There's a club in Asbury Park, New Jersey, I just heard is closing down. It's a famous bar that we've played at many times, and like, I mean, so many Jersey artists, like famous people, have played there.
What, the Lanes or?
No,
Stone Pony?
the Saint.
Oh, okay.
It's a small
okay.
bar.
Gotcha.
And we packed that place out so many times, and I was sad to hear it. Like, I need to see if there's an article, but anyway, this stuff should have been in place. Like, it's not, you know. And now, hopefully, this is going to open everybody's eyes, and now things will be in place for next time, because this will happen again. You know, that we've already had several, you know, outbreaks and stuff over the last 20 years, but this has been the craziest.
And you know, I couldn't agree more. Bill Gates did try to tell us 4 years ago. For some reason, you know, people just didn't want to listen. And I'm sure he wasn't the first. Just look at the movie Contagion. I just rewatched that from my other podcast. And so we had a guest on. We did a collab, which, by the way, everyone out there is creating content. This is a great time to collaborate with other YouTubers and whatnot.
For sure.
And so our guest is like super into, his shtick is that like he researches like the thought behind the movie, the process of writing it. And so the director, Soderbergh, he actually hired like actual scientists and former CDC workers to like plan out the hypotheticals. And that's why the information in that movie is so spot on. And it's scary because that movie came out in 2011. So you got to think it was written in what, 2008, 2009, like the latest, you know? Mm-hmm. So you guys are totally right in regards to saying that. And I mean,
to sum it up, it's really
crazy.
just like we were like, you need to be proactive as opposed to reactive, because sometimes it's too late to react and then you can't do anything.
When shit went down and shows went away, I was like, oh, well, I got my podcast and I got my YouTube channel. Like, I was already coasting. I was locked in. I was ready for this, you know, and I've stepped it up. You know, I wasn't even utilizing it as much as I was before this, but now, like I said, like, this isn't going away. Like, live streams are going to be a thing. You know, when this all is better again, just think about, you know, a band that some bands release a record and then they go on tour a month or two later, right? Because it's like a good time to release a record, and then like they let it simmer, and people, and that way they get to the shows, everybody's singing the songs. Because I don't think anybody likes new music. Like, people love new music, but they don't. It's like they love hearing that old shit that they can sing along to. So
yes,
like especially in the live setting, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, when I like. Your big fans love that you put out new songs, right? But when you can go and you can sing you play all those jams that they can all sing along to, it's much more of a party. You play a new song, like we've done it so many times. We'll go on tour and we'll like, we just released this song today, you know, and we're on the road, and no one knows it, and they're just kind of watching, like staring at you, not moving, just kind of taking it in. Doesn't mean they don't like it. Doesn't mean that it sucks or anything, but they're just taking it in. They're like, oh, this is cool, and the reaction is not as big as you'd hope it to be, you know?
A bit lackluster.
Yeah, lackluster, you know? But that's just because it's like, oh, okay, cool, all right, I'll learn that, and maybe 3 months later when you come back, I'll know it. But like, but you know, we play Walk Away and the place goes ape shit, you know?
Right,
it's like, it's just, so my point was, imagine putting out a new record, and the day that the record comes out, the band does a full live stream, playing the record front to back, or just doing a concert in general, just of all the hits or whatever. Like, this live streaming is here to stay, and you know, if it wasn't before, it absolutely is now.
Yeah,
right.
Andrew.
Well, what?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, a little inside baseball here, and I know we don't normally do this on the show, but like, I'm thinking maybe we title this episode like, you know, make your own content, make your own something with Howie, because it seems like you got to make your own. You need to, like, you know, take charge in these situations. Don't just be sitting there helpless.
Yeah, which brings me to a question I have. There's, you know, you're someone who, I mean, even a year ago when we talked to you, you were wearing a lot of hats, but now the hats have doubled or tripled in how many you wear sometimes. But there are a lot of people out there, especially now with all this time, like they want to create new things that they haven't been creating, and maybe they're like a little nervous to do that. Like, you see all these YouTubers or like movie stars or whatever, they try putting out music and people are like, what are you doing? Just stick to what you're doing. Or like vice versa, like Jack Black started a gaming YouTube channel that I have not checked out.
Oh, did he?
That has to be
It's
insane.
amazing. It's
so
great.
Like, with all that stuff, like, do you have any advice for someone who maybe is like, well, now that I have the time, like, I'm only a Twitch streamer, maybe now I can try doing like different kind of YouTube videos, or I'm a musician and I want to try doing, you know, something on YouTube. Like, is there a way to do that without coming off as just like, hey, I'm trying to get more money doing a different thing? Like, how do you just expand your empire, if you will, like, so effortlessly?
I mean, look, ultimately what you're doing is you're hopefully creating multiple revenue streams. That is the world we live in now. Okay.
Right.
Like, and we're totally capable. Like, people have to shed this old world thinking. And when I say old world, I mean like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
Right.
like things are different now. We're in the 21st century.
Things move quickly now.
Things move a lot quicker, man. There's going to be so much crazy shit happening, like on the tech side, like within the next 10 years, like things you can't even fathom are going to be happening. And like, you know,
who knows what 5G is going to allow us to even go further with.
Right.
Dude,
when that fully hits, you know?
When everything is completely connected at all times at super fast speeds, life is going to change immensely. When you have self-driving trucks on the road, man, it's going to be a weird thing to see, but eventually, you know, 10, 15 years from now, it's going to be just normal. We're like, oh, there's a, you're not even going to think about it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, some Tony Stark shit.
Tony Stark shit. Seriously, man. Iron Man is going to exist.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately, yeah, you're trying to create revenue streams, because I think we all need to, like, the jobs that we have now a lot of them are outdated. You know, there's plenty of things that they're going to be taken over, you know, by AI and such, you know, in the next 10 years or so.
Already, like cashiers, just to name one.
I was in my grocery store, my local grocery store down the street here now has, I think it's 8 self-checkout stations. That's 8 jobs, you know?
Yep.
That's 8 jobs. And that's just one little grocery store in one little town in the United States. It's happening right under our feet. Like, people just need to see it, need to open their eyes and pay attention. And they need to be using this time to build something. And there's no like, oh, he's just trying to make money. No, if you're giving something that people want, that people are interested in, they don't think of it that way. They think of it like, oh my God, I'm totally going to subscribe to this for $10 a month or whatever. Or I'm totally going to pay this guy $20 for whatever. Or I'll pay this guy $200 to draw me something. You know, like, this isn't specifically music. This is creative in general.
For sure.
That people can, this guy hit me up, wanted to use our music in a cooking show that he's doing. And the production value is not even that crazy. It's just, I think it might be multicam, but like, I think he has a green screen too, but like, it's just, these are all things. I've got 3 green screens. You can buy them for like $20 on Amazon. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you just got to use your imagination. If you're not the type that has something that I don't know, like, I feel like every person has some sort of talent. Somebody can do something cool and interesting, right? Some people don't think that they can do anything with that. And to me, you know, you just have to be able to see the bright side and like really think positive about it, because you literally can take your phone. I've said this so many times. Take your phone. It's got a video camera on it, and you can fucking start a cooking show. You know what I'm saying? Like, YouTube is free. It's free. You get a friend that knows how to edit video. You know, don't even edit it. Just put it up. Like, I don't know, man. I just feel like there's so many tools, free tools at our disposal. If you have any bit of imagination, you can really make something, and it's going to look like shit probably at the beginning. Don't worry about how it looks or how it sounds yet. Like, obviously, make it the best you can, but don't wait around until you have the gear that you need. All this stuff I have is from years of building, you know, years of like, as a birthday.
Trial and error.
What do you want for Christmas? I'm like, you know what? I really would like to get this microphone, you know, or money towards this microphone, because all the shit I want is super expensive. I can't ask somebody to buy $1,000 microphone for me, right?
Yeah.
But I can say, hey, if you want to put $50 or $100, you know, in a card, I can put that towards this thing, you know, like,
totally.
You can have your family members.
And I'm sure Santa helps out, right?
Santa helps, man.
Santa is the man.
Santa's legit, man. Like, mad respect. Big up, Santa Claus. You know, I just feel like if you have something that you want to do, you just got to do it. Don't wait. I don't know how else to say it, you know, and if you want to start a video game channel, there are certain services specifically for that, you know. Start playing video games, and, you know, don't think money first. Like, when I started the podcast, it wasn't like I could make money from this. It was like, I just want to do this cool thing. As long as it's something that in your mind is like, I just want to do this cool thing, and put it out to the world. That is how it should start. It should never be like, I bet I can make some money doing this, because you will be very frustrated. You'll be very disappointed because the money doesn't come for a long time. Now is the time.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I don't know, me and Andrew have made like $4 off of this whole podcast since it started, but it just feels good to put something out there, especially now. People are hitting us up, like our friends are like, dude, like, sorry I'm so late to check out your podcast, but I finally have the time and I'm going back and binging. And I'm like, cool, well, this feels good.
Yeah.
And this is why we started this in the first place.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's
couldn't
like
agree more.
those MasterCard commercials were kind of silly, but like they kind of have a point where there's some things where it's like, yeah, you spent money on this or you made a little money on this, but like the feeling of putting out, like you said, something that someone is like, yo, this is awesome, thank you for this, like that is better than the check.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I feel that. Now, Howie, before we let you go here, what have you been doing to sort of unwind in these quarantine times? Like, I know you said you pretty much have to tell yourself to not work, but when you can finally, turn that off, what are you going to? What are you watching? What are you consuming? Like what's just like been your quarantine watch or play or whatever, or read maybe?
We've been doing a lot of, like at night, late at night when I shut the studio down. Like Danielle likes to watch horror movies and like drug documentaries, like people
Nice.
like Mexican cartel, like just
The
shit
real
like
life
that.
scary shit.
Yeah, real life shit. And like, like we were watching the Menendez brothers thing last night. Like, American Horror Story when it's on, I love watching that show. But yeah, things like there's this hotel in LA. I can't remember what it's called right now. But like I guess a bunch of bad stuff happened at this hotel, and there's like a couple seasons worth of episodes. That's how much bad shit has happened. It's all different stories. And apparently
Wow, okay.
Richard Ramirez like stayed at one of the rooms at one point, and some guy got it was pretty cool. Let me tell you this. I'll try to tell you the story real quick. This guy shows up. He says he's a writer. He's an author, and he gets to do some ride-alongs with cops to like murder scenes where like hookers are killed. And he stays at this hotel that Richard Ramirez stayed at because he's like writing a book about him, I think. He tries to stay in like the same room that he was in and everything. When the cops get a call about a new murder, he gets to go with them. He's there for like a month or so. So he's getting to see all this stuff, and he's asking the cops questions. He's all into it, and learning about Richard Ramirez. And because I guess this all happened, the Night Stalker stuff was in L.A., and he ends up. He's like, cool, thanks so much for I got to go back to wherever he's from. I think he lived in some other state or maybe even Canada or something like that. Goes back to, he leaves LA. And so what they figured out was when this guy showed up, more hookers started getting killed, right? And more murders. Yeah. So turns out this guy was a serial killer.
Oh no.
And he was killing these girls and riding along with the cop to the murder scene, to the crime scene.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. They say the killers like to go back to the scene and like see the reactions and stuff of people, and so this guy was right under the noses killing these girls, and like he got away.
Crazy.
Yeah, he ended
What's
up getting.
the name of that? Do you know?
Sounds like some terrible policeman.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's awful police work. I'll have to. I can't remember the name of it. Hotel something.
Okay.
It's on Hulu.
I mean, I'm sure
That's
just Google
fucked,
Richard
man.
Ramirez hookers dying
Yeah.
Netflix and you'll find it.
like a hotel, like murder hotel or crime hotel or in LA or Hollywood or something like that. It'll probably pop up. But
Wow.
yeah, couldn't believe it, man. And he ended up getting popped for something else later and got sent to jail. And I think he killed himself. But like, isn't that crazy? Like, he wanted to be Richard Ramirez, basically. Like.
And he almost did, I guess.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's like the whole Manson thing, right? They all wanted to be like
Similar.
him, so they kind of like went out and like, I guess not. I
Yeah.
guess that's different. Once
Yeah,
upon a
Charles
time in
Manson
Hollywood's really
was-
warping that for me.
Charles Manson was his own kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I forget who I'm talking about. I know there was one guy who like inspired followers. I mean, I'm sure that happens.
There's a lot
more
of
so
them.
than not.
Yeah,
There's a lot
lot.
of them now.
There's a lot. There's a lot of damaged people out there that'll follow anybody.
Mm.
Well, hey,
That's
like
what
I
I do.
said, true crime really isn't my thing, but
It's true.
I'm on a Marvel movie rewatch right now. Hence the Tony Stark reference earlier.
I just watched Iron Man yesterday, or at least I had it on anyway in the background.
Yeah, I was setting up the pod. I was halfway through. I got to the part where he's like kind of getting to know the I guess it's like a half hour in like where he's getting to know his cellmate, if you will, that Russian scientist guy. And I was like, wow, I forgot all of this. So
Yeah, I forgot how long that beginning part of the movie is. I've also read
yeah.
a bunch of times that whatever language they're speaking in the beginning of that movie, that they're literally just describing the plot of the entire movie before the movie starts, just in that language.
Oh, really?
wow, that's
I've
hilarious.
read that so many times,
and that's why there's no subtitles.
That's
why there's
wonderful.
no subtitles.
That's probably
Jeez.
my favorite Marvel movie of all time is Iron Man.
Yeah,
it's definitely up there.
It's the one that kicked it all off, and even
It
next
was.
to Infinity War and all that, I just really, I don't know. Endgame was obviously great. Both of those movies are great. And then Civil War probably is my second favorite.
yeah. Civil War gets
was pretty
real.
sick.
Yeah, and then you've got Infinity War and Endgame, like obviously great. They're probably neck and neck with Iron Man, but Iron Man, just something about it, man. I just love Robert Downey Jr. is so fucking great.
Yeah,
and
early Tony Stark before he's humbled like almost at all.
yeah,
But
he's
you
very,
still like him, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really connects with that character, especially like if you realize
Yeah.
what he was coming off of in his personal life too around
he
that time.
is
It's-
Tony Stark.
he's just
exactly.
he's just a less tech savvy Tony Stark.
Yeah,
yeah.
incredible, man. He's a great actor too. He kind of plays himself a little bit, but it's just man, really, really good.
Yeah. For me, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is my favorite Marvel film. Just the power of that soundtrack.
Great
is,
movie,
I
man.
mean,
Yeah, one is
Both
like,
of those are
everything's great, but yeah, the second one's awesome too. I can't wait
I
for the
mean-
fourth. They got delayed, obviously, because
Groot.
you know,
Groot is probably my
everything, but-
favorite character that Vin Diesel has ever played in his entire career, except maybe the Iron Giant.
okay, I hear you.
When he says almost nothing, that's when he's the best actor.
That's when he's at his best, huh? I could agree
when
with
he's at
that,
his
except
best.
Chronicles of Riddick did slap. I will have to
Don't-
remind everyone about that.
No, it didn't.
So
It's all about the moments we create. You don't have to speak; it's just the moments we create.
Exactly. That's a good note to end on.
Well,
Especially
yeah,
since this is going to be like the longest episode we've put up, I think.
Oh, good.
Well, yeah, but we do have a set question, Howie, that we
Sure.
introduced to the show before we let you go here. So
True.
you can obviously elaborate afterwards, but we've been finding that there's something, for me and Andrew, super interesting, but also powerful about like when you ask someone how they think about themselves as a creator, as an artist, what's that one word that comes to mind? Because I know how I describe myself. And so I'm always curious, like what's the little tag people put on themselves? So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when asked that question?
Just driven.
Mm-hmm.
That for me, it's without sounding like egotistical or anything like that. It's hard to put a label on yourself. Like, oh, I'm really good at what I do. Like, it's just driven. You can't deny that. Like, I'm very. I just love what I do. I'm excited to do what I do. I'm proud and happy and grateful that I can make a living off of it. It's something that took 25 years to build. It started with wanting to be in a band when I was 6 years old. Finally started when I was 14. But I never thought that like I was going to do anything like a podcast or, I knew I was going to make stuff, but like I wanted to make movies, and I was always on that creative side, art, drawing, things like that. Or writing scripts and stuff for funny comedy sketches and things with my friends and doing dumb shit. Like, I have funny videos of they may not be that funny to anybody else, but me and my brother and our friends like goofing off, doing sketches and stuff with the video camera. I'm sure a lot of kids have that, but we didn't have YouTube back then, so like we were like 10 years away from YouTube at that point. And, had we had it then, who knows where it would have went. But, I don't know. It was nice. It's awesome to see the music break off into other things. Like I'm a record producer. I can mix records now, and that's something I just this past year have felt good about doing is mixing. But I spent 5 years honing that skill, like watching YouTube videos and lynda.com and, just paying for webinars and things, watching guys mix and why they did that and how compressors work. It's just, if you want something, you have to work for it and you have to put in the time, and, life doesn't care about you. The cosmos doesn't care about you. It's going to throw whatever it's going to throw at you. You just have to, it's the way you react to it. It's how you react. It's how you respond, it's how you push through. I don't know. It's
how you drive through.
It's how you drive through, man. It's like, and if you're a driven type of person, you're not going to let anything get in your way. And I've lost relationships and lost jobs, because this is what I want. And now it's like I can go back and be like, fuck, I'm so happy I did that. I'm so happy that I stayed with this, because I don't want to be 80, 90 years old and be like, I wish I would have tried that. I really hope that people, especially right now is the time. Learn a skill or hone a skill that you have, or start going on YouTube or Instagram, or make a podcast, do something with it. You don't have to work that shit job forever. You really can make the transition.
Couldn't agree more. And to add on top of that, I think the biggest discovery for me in this episode, and again, thanks for always being so forthcoming and just open with, your information and your journey, and just imparting the knowledge. Even when you're clocked out, stay a little bit clocked in. Watch content that you want to produce, that you want to study. I think that's something that we can all be doing, sort of off the clock as freelancers, to just keep growing and learning. And you'll watch a good Joe Rogan episode out of it as well. So it's not going to be the worst.
Yeah, watch a video about how to I don't know, whatever it is you're into. Like, watch video. Oh, how do I do that? Or even how do I edit video? Do that instead of Housewives of New Jersey.
Yeah, do anything instead of that. But yes,
I pulled
I
that out of
agree.
my ass. But just it's you can Netflix and chill, or you can sit there and you can work on your shit. But just know that the longer you stay away from the craft or honing the craft, the longer it's going to take to achieve what you're trying to achieve. If you're taking several hours off that night to watch a Netflix show, there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. We need that. We need to get away for a little bit, but just know that it's going to take a little bit longer now.
Just realize where you're investing your time.
Yes. Realize, be aware, don't have any what's the word I'm trying to say? Just don't think that. Don't get mad at yourself or get mad at other people because your career isn't going forward the way you'd like. It's no one else's fault. It's your own fault. You stand in your own way, or you get out of your own way.
Right.
Could not agree more.
It's your decision.
Yeah, amazing, Howie. Thank you so much. And guys, I'm speaking about sort of being on the clock while you're off the clock, and you can do that. Coming this week, I think you said May 7th, Howie, Ballyhoo's doing a live stream of sorts. Is I correct in saying that?
Yeah, we just booked it yesterday, I think. So
very cool. So what can we expect
7th.
from that?
At the time of this recording, I do not know. I don't know what we're gonna do. We may cover
Okay.
another.
That's awesome.
We may do another album front to back. I don't know. That means I better get off of here and start learning songs. Or, I don't know. Maybe we'll do. There's ideas. There's acoustic stuff. There's a half hour of covers. I don't know. Like, we want to do something cool and interesting and fun. So
Cool. Well, guys.
So either way,
you
it's
got
going to
something
be cool, interesting, and fun.
Exactly.
Yes.
You guys got
Yes.
something to look forward to. And
At
Howie,
least
you're burning it at all ends. So I mean, plug away, my friend. Let the people know what you want them to know.
You know the deal.
Subscribe to my podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Been doing a lot of video podcasts lately. Tales from the Green Room. Check out my music, Howi Spangler or Ballyhoo, wherever you listen to music. It's there. We're on all the major platforms, and of course the socials, Instagram and Facebook and wherever else. I do have a TikTok. I have like 30 followers. I never use it. I need to take my own advice and get on there, but I don't know how to dance, so I'm not sure what else to do. Just thanks for the support. Thanks for listening and watching and taking in all the content, and I hope it's helping.
Yeah, for sure. And guys,
Thank you.
if you've made it this far, we just would like to remind you that we do have an episode in the past with Howie where we sort of dove into his origins and kind of just got to know each other on that pod. And I think there's a lot of good wisdom to also be learned in that episode as well. As well as, Andrew, we've also spoken with some other artists in a similar vein too, haven't we?
Yes, but before that, I was going to say we were also on an episode of Tales of the Green Room. I believe it was episode 69, so go back and listen to that one. And all right. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we've also spoken to a lot of Howie's peers, like Greg from Cashed Out, Tunnel Vision, Bumpin' Uglies, just to name a couple.
And a couple coming up. We have we're chatting again with Gabo of Fayuca. We're looking forward to that one as well. And we're going to be speaking with K-Bong. So if you guys have been here for our show for a little while, we appreciate you coming. And if you're just joining here, hopefully we have more of what you're looking for. Either way, everyone, stay safe out there. Enjoy this time. Try to do something productive in this time. Enjoy family time out of it. And with that being said, Howie, as is show tradition, is there a song you'd like to leave the people with here today?
Let's go with Dark Sunglasses because everyone needs to get a little drunk sometimes and just forget things.
Beautiful.
Hell yeah.
Unless you're an alcoholic where you probably shouldn't be getting drunk. So.
But then you know who you are, so.
Yep. Here is Dark Sunglasses on Talking with Andrew and Chris. Be safe out there, everyone.
See ya.